Hello, my dear children and parents. Welcome to class 9th of Indus Valley Public School Rat, where we were doing lesson number 4 from your Moments book, and the name of the lesson was In the Kingdom of Fools. It is a Kannada folk tale from A.K. Ramanujam's Folk Tales from India. So, in the last video, or you can say in the previous video of the same lesson, we had seen in the story in the kingdom of fools that the king and his empire, his minister, everyone was acting as fool. They were not using their wits. They were ordered to work in night and to sleep in daytime by their king, and every item was costing the similar amount that one do. Once priest and his disciple came to this place, and disciple decided to stay in this fool's kingdom because everything was very cheap there and he was very fond of eating. But the saint left that place. He thought that it is not wise to stay in such a place where people were acting things without using their wits. Now, there was a tragedy in the kingdom. What was that tragedy? Tragedy was that a robber robbed a rich merchant's house, and he was dead after looting the place as wall fell on him. Now the blame was passed from one person to another person, such as rich merchant to bricklayer, bricklayer to the dancer, dancer to the goldsmith, and again from goldsmith to the rich merchant's father. Rich merchant said that this wall was built at the time of my father, and now he is dead. So, by seeing this, king consulted his minister and gave the decision that merchant's father was murdered, and the thief died because of him. As the merchant's father was not alive and someone had to be punished for the crime, so he said that merchant's son had inherited something from his father, father, and now he will be punished for his wrongdoing as well. So he added that when he had seen the merchant for the first time, at that moment he had a feeling that he was the culprit. So the king announced that now the merchant would have to die and he has to bear his father's sin also. Okay, children, so this what we have studied in this part, in the previous part of the story. So we have also seen the characters: king, minister, guru, disciple, robber, robber's brother, rich merchant, bricklayer, dancer, and goldsmith. Okay, now moving to the chapter. So here coming to the paragraph next. So you must die, till here we have completed. Now coming to the next stanza. And he ordered a new stake to be made, ready for the execution. As the servants sharpened the stake and got it ready for the final impaling of the criminal, it occurred to the minister that the rich merchant was somehow too thin to be properly executed on the stake. He appealed to the king's common sense. The king too worried about it. So here stake means a post with a sharp pointed end used to pierce something. And execution means an official killing of someone. Impaling means to push a sharp pointed post through something. So now here in this paragraph it is told that when this new weapon, and this weapon was getting ready for cutting of the person, the minister felt that the merchant was very thin and he could not be executed in this way. So he told this to the king, and king got worried now what to do and whom to get punished. So now the king is saying that, what shall we do, he said, when suddenly it struck him that they needed to do was to find a man fat enough to fit the stake. The servant was immediately sent all over the town looking for a man who would fit the stake, and their eyes fell on the disciple who had fattened himself for months on bananas and rice and wheat and ghee. So now what happened? King got an idea that they should catch hold of a man who was fat enough to be executed with the stake. So now the merchant would not be put to death because he was too thin to be executed with the stake, they thought to punish another person instead of the merchant, and one who fat enough to be executed with the stake. So finally, king sent his servant around the king to look for a man who was fat enough to be executed with the stake. So these men went to the kingdom, and they found the guru's disciple who had become very fat because of overeating. He was eating full time banana, rice, wheat, and ghee. So he became very fat. So these people, his king's messenger, take him to the place where the execution was going on. What have I done wrong? I am innocent. I am sannyasi, he cried. That may be true, but it's the royal decree that we should find a man fat enough to fit the stake, they said, and carried him to the place of execution. He remembered his wise guru's words. So now what happened? Here decree means hota hai order. Okay. So the disciple said that he was sannyasi. He had not done anything wrong. He was innocent. Then why were they taking him? Then the king's servant said that he was innocent, but they were ordered to catch hold of a fat man who could be executed with the stake, and he was fit for it. And that is why they were taking him along to the place of execution. So now he remembered his wise guru's word. What was the words? This is a city of fools. You don't know what they will do next. So now the disciple is reminded of his guru, and guru, who was a very wise man, had told him that it was a city of fools and they could harm him and anyone else also. Now they were taking him along to execute him. While he was waiting for death, he prayed to his guru in his heart, asking him to hear his cry wherever he was. The guru saw everything in a vision. He had magic powers. He could see far, and he could see the future as he could see the present and the past. So the helpless disciple prayed to his guru and asked him to come to rescue him. The guru could visualize the disciple's message due to his magical power. He could see everything. He could see the future, the present, and the past. He could see everything in his vision. So now he arrived at once to save his disciple, who had got himself in such a scrap through love of food. So scrap, a difficult situation that one has got into. So now Guru arrived there to save his disciple. The disciple was trapped in a difficult and serious situation. They were about to execute him, although he had not done anything. So who had not done anything? The disciple. So the Guru came to rescue him from this situation. As soon as he arrived, he scolded the disciple and told him something in a whisper. So now the Guru met his disciple and he scolded him very badly because he did not obey him and stayed back. Now he whispered something in his ears. So Guru whispered, he has said something to his disciple. Then he went to the king and addressed him. Oh, wisest of kings, who is greater, the Guru or the disciple? Of course, the Guru, no doubt about it. Why do you ask? Then put me to the stake first. Put my disciple to death after me. So now Guru tried to trap the king in his word. Okay, he is confusing the king because he is already fooled. So now he is playing a game with the king. He asked him, who is greater between a guru and a disciple? The king replied that of course the Guru was greater. The Guru said that for this reason the king must execute him before executing his disciple. Okay, so now next. When the disciple heard this, he understood and began to clamor. Me first, you brought me here first. Put me to death first, not him. So clamor, to insist on something. So when disciple heard his guru's word, he started shouting that he wanted to die first. The guru and the disciple now got into a fight about who should go first. The king was puzzled by this behavior. He asked Guru, "Why do you want to die?" "We chose him because we need a fat man for the stake." So when the guru and disciple started arguing that who would die first, the king got confused and why these people want to die first. He asked the guru that why did he want to die. They had caught the disciple because he was fat and they wanted a fat man who could be executed with the stake. "You shouldn't ask me such question. Put me to death first," replied the guru. So now the guru said that, "Do not ask me such type of questions and put me," and he said that he wanted to die before his disciple died. "Why? There some mystery here. As a wise man you must make me understand." So now the king felt that there was some mystery behind it. The guru wanted to die before his disciple and was so eager to die. There must be some reason behind it and the king wanted to know it. So now what is that? "Will you promise to put me to death if I tell you?" asked the guru. So now guru said the king to promise him and he would execute him first if he told him the secret about why he wanted to be executed first. The king gave him solemn words. The guru took him aside out of the servant's earshot and whispered to him, "Do you know why we want to die right now, the two of us? We have been all over the world, but we have never found a city like this or a king like you. The stake is the stake of God of justice. It's new. It has never had a criminal on it." So now the king promised that he would execute him first. Then the guru took the king aside and slowly told him that he had roamed around the whole world but had not seen a city and a king like him. He added that the stake which they would use to kill the disciple was the stake of justice. As it knew, he had not killed any criminal. Whoever die on it first will be reborn as the king of this country. So further, guru or the saint added that the king and the one who would die first on this stake would be reborn as the king of the kingdom. By telling all this, he is trying to trap the king. And whosoever go next will be the future minister of this country. We are sick of our ascetic life. It would be nice to enjoy ourselves as king and minister for a while. Now, keep your word, my lord, and put us to death. Me first, remember. So now, ascetic life is the life of sannyasi, a strict life, a life of discipline. Okay. So now what it is happening? The one who would die here in this paragraph it is told that the one who would die next would be reborn as a minister of the kingdom. The guru added that he was tired of his life of a sannyasi. He and his disciple wanted to live the life of a king and a minister. So he says that king execute him first so that he is reborn as a king, and after him his disciple be executed so that he is reborn as a minister. The king was now thrown into deep thought. He did not want to lose the kingdom to someone else in the next round of life. He needed time. So he ordered the execution postponed to the next day and talked in secret with his minister. Postpone means to put off something for a later time. So after listening to the guru, the king was in very deep thought. He did not want to lose his kingdom. He did not want that in the next life his kingdom to be snatched away from him. So he discussed this thing with his minister. It's not right for us to give over the kingdom to others in the next life. Let's go on the stake ourselves and we will be reborn as the king and minister again. Holy men do not tell lies, he said, and the minister agreed. So now what had the king told his minister that he did not want that in the next life his kingdom to be taken away. He added that the person was a holy man and holy men did not speak lies. He says that they should die first so that they are reborn as king and minister of the kingdom. Okay. So he told the executioner, "We will send the criminal tonight. When the first man comes to you, you put him to death first. Then do the same to the second man. Those are my orders. Don't make any mistake." So now what happened? Now see how brilliantly the saint and the criminal played, and they are safe. Now see what the thing. So the king told his executioners that he would send the criminals at night. Firstly, they should execute the person who came first and then execute the second person. They should be careful and do not make any mistake. That is his order. So that night, the king and his minister went secretly to the prison, released the guru and the disciple, disguised themselves as the two, and as arranged beforehand with loyal servants, were taken to the stake and promptly executed. The disguise means a different appearance in order to hide one's identity. ठीक है, अपना वेशभूषा बदल के जाना. So at night, the king and his minister went to the prison where the guru and the disciple were kept. They wore the clothes of the guru and his disciple so that they resembled themselves. As it was told to the servants, they came and took them along and put them into the stake for execution. In this way, with his intelligence, the guru was able to execute the foolish king and his foolish minister. Okay. So now when the bodies were taken down to be thrown to crows and vultures, the people panicked. Panic means fright. Turkey. So now when the bodies of the king and minister were taken away to be thrown, the people trembled to see the dead bodies of the king and his minister. They saw before them the dead bodies of the king and the minister. The city was in confusion. So everyone was trembling because the dead bodies were not of the guru and his disciple. Instead, they were the bodies of the king and his minister. All the night they mourned and discussed the future of the kingdom. Some people suddenly thought of the guru and the disciple and caught up with them as they were preparing to leave town unnoticed. So everyone in the kingdom was mourning the death of their king and his minister. In mourning, some people thought of the guru and his disciple and felt that they should go to them, as the guru and his disciple were planning to leave the kingdom. But the people stopped them as they do not want them to leave the kingdom. "We people need a king and a minister," said someone. They begged the guru and the disciple to be their king and their minister. So the people of the kingdom thought that they needed a king and a minister, and so they requested the guru and the disciple to be the new king and the minister of the kingdom. It did not take many arguments to pursue the disciple, but it took longer to pursue the guru. So what happened? Pursued means to convince. The disciple agreed quickly, but it took some time to make the guru agree upon this. So they finally agreed to rule the kingdom of the foolish king and the silly minister on the condition that they could change all the old laws. From then on, night would again be a night and day would again be a day, and you could get nothing for a dadu. It became like any other place. So the guru agreed to be the king of the kingdom, but on the condition from then everyone would work in the day and sleep at night. Also the cost of the things could vary and not to be one dudu for anything, as was the system earlier. It would be like any other place where everything had different rates. Finally, the guru converted the kingdom of fools into a normal kingdom. So children, here we end with this story. So go through the story, and if any doubt, please do call me up. Now I'll give you the summary and the question answers of the lesson. So before that, I would like to give the moral of the story. Do not go through the words of other people before persuading anything, or before you want to do anything. Just use your own wit. To follow anyone blindly is wrong decision. So whenever ये होता है ना कहावत, सुनो सबकी करो अपने मन की, is that कि whatever anything any person do or any person say you to do anything, just think on it before you react on particular thing. So no need to react blindly on any person's words. Okay, use your wit, use your intelligence, use your common sense while doing anything, while saying anything, or while performing any kind of act. This is what explained in this lesson. Do not believe, do not have faith blindly on anyone or any person. Use your wit, use your common sense, use your intelligence. Okay, so now we will be moving towards the summary of the lesson. So now summary. In the Kingdoms of Fools is an interesting story of a kingdom run by a foolish king. One day a saint and a disciple reached the kingdom. The saint was astonished to see that the people were sleeping during the day and worked during the night. He was disturbed to see that all the food items in the kingdom costed the same, 1 dudu. He analyzed that it was a kingdom of fools and ordered his disciple to leave the place. The disciple did not leave with his guru, as he was lured by the abundance of cheap food. One day a man approached the king for justice. He claimed that his brother was committing his ancient trade of theft, and during that the wall of a man's house fell on him and he died. He asked the king to get him compensated. As the king of foolish, he did not analyze that the dead man was a criminal. On the contrary, he tried all the people who were involved in the death of the thief, the rich merchant who was the owner of the house, a house whose wall had broken, the man who had built the wall, the dancing girl due to whom the builder had built a weak wall, and the goldsmith because of whom the dancing girl had to move around in the street that day. Finally, the king decided that the merchant's father was the real culprit, as he was dead and his son had inherited all his property, so he would get punished in place of his father. Another turn of event takes place when the minister feels that the merchant is too thin to be killed by the stake. The king ordered his men to find a fat person who would punish in place of the merchant. As the disciple had become very fat, the men took him to the king. The innocent man prayed to his guru for help. The guru visualizes that a disciple is in trouble and reaches to save him. He uses his intelligence and wisdom to trap the foolish king. Finally, the king and his minister get themselves killed by the stake in place of guru and his disciple. The people of the kingdom begged the guru and his disciple to become their new king and minister. The guru agreed on a condition that the kingdom would function normally like all other kingdoms did. Okay, so this is the summary of the lesson, and now coming to the question answers. What are the two strange things the guru and his disciple find in the kingdom of fools? So when the guru and the disciple reach the kingdom of fools, they find the following two strange things. All the people sleep during the day and work during the night time. They have trained the cattle and all the other animals also to do the same, as they fear punishment at the hands of the king. Everything in the kingdom of fools, a bag of rice or a bunch of bananas, cost 1 dudu. The guru is astonished and his disciple is excited to realize that food is so cheap in the kingdom. Why does disciple decided to stay in the kingdoms of fool? It is a good idea. The disciple loves food. He gets excited to see such cheap food available in kingdom of fools. As he wanted to realize more and more food, he stays back in the kingdom of fools. His decision was not a good one, as he got into trouble. Although he was innocent, the king's men took him for execution, as they needed a fat person who would be killed easily by the stake. Name all the people who are tried in the king's court and give the reason for their trial. The names of the people who were tried in the king's court are as follows. The rich merchant, who was the owner of the house, was tried because the wall that collapsed onto the thieves belonged to him. Later on, he was again tried and held guilty on behalf of his dead father, who had ordered the goldsmith to deliver the ornaments in a haste, due to which goldsmith could not deliver the dancing girl's ornaments in time. The bricklayer, who had built the weak wall, was also tried for constructing the walls that collapsed and killed the thief. The dancing girl was tried to distracting the bricklayer as he walked in the lane again and again. The jingling sound of her anklets distracted the bricklayer, because of which he constructed the weak wall. The goldsmith was tried because it was due to him that the dancing girl had to walk up and down the lane again and again. The rich merchant's dead father was tried because he had ordered the goldsmith to deliver his ornament first, as there was a wedding with his family. Due to his order, the goldsmith was unable to make the dancing girl's ornament in time. Question number 4. Who is the real culprit according to the king? Why did he escape punishment? According to the king, the real culprit was merchant's dead father. As he was dead, he could not be punished, and in place of him, his son, who had inherited all his property, would be punished. The merchant escapes the punishment as the minister feels that he is too thin to be killed by the stake. Question number 5. What are Guru's word for wisdom? When does the disciple remember them? The Guru had told his disciple that the place was a kingdom of fools and they were unsafe for them. He had asked the disciple to leave the place at once. The disciple is reminded of his Guru's word of wisdom when he lands into trouble. When the king's men take him to the execution, he prays to his Guru and asks him to save his life. Question number 6. How does Guru manage to save his disciples' life? The Guru is a wise and intelligent man. He traps the foolish king in his talks. He says that as he is the Guru, he is senior to his disciple and so he should be killed first. The king gets confused to see Guru's eagerness to die. He asks him the reason for it. On being promised that he would be killed first, the Guru says that as the stake is a new one, it had not killed any criminal. He adds that person who would be killed by the state first would be reborn as the king of the kingdom. The second person would be killed by the stake would be reborn as minister of the kingdom. The king considers the Guru to be genuine and so tells his minister that they should not lose their kingdom in the next birth. In this way, the king decides to save his kingdom and get himself and his minister killed by the stake in place of the Guru and his disciple. Hence, the Guru saves his disciple's life. Question number 7. You believe in the fact that our prayers are often heard and answered. There are miracles which changes the course of life. Which miracle took place in the story in the kingdom of fools? What lesson do you learn from the Guru's word of wisdom? It is often believed that our prayers are often heard and answered, which was proved in the story. In the kingdom of fools, the king had order to execute the disciple. He prayed to Guru to save him. It was a miracle that his Guru heard his prayer and came to rescue him. He whispered something in his ear and then asked the king to execute him first and then the disciple. The king realized them both on knowing that whoever died first would be the king in his next birth. It was his Guru's advice and presence of mind that saved the disciple. The disciple realized his mistake for Guru's not listening to Guru's word for wisdom. Question number 8. Why did the Guru not want to stay in the kingdom of fools? The Guru did not want to stay in the kingdoms of fools as the people over there were foolish. He was not sure about them and felt that they could harm him. Question number 9. Why does the disciple not want to leave kingdom of the fools? The disciple did not want to leave the place because of the sale of cheap eatables and other commodities, and since everything was easily available and the life seemed to be very simple and easy. Question number 10. Why did the king decide to postpone the execution of the guru and his disciple? The guru befooled the king. He told him that the people dying now would be king and minister in their next birth. The foolish king fell for the words of the guru and postponed their execution. So, my dear children, here I end the lesson. So, complete the summary, question answers of the lesson, go through the lesson's explanation. Any doubt, please do ask me. Okay. So, till then, bye bye, take care, and thank you so much.